Yeah, and this week on the SportZone, absolutely delighted that we've got one of Barrow's football sporting legends, Jon Balm. How you doing, Jon?
I'm fine, Tony. Thanks for that big intro. That God Almighty. Hope we can live up to it.
I'm sure you will, mate. Now, I've been doing a bit of research, Jon. You pointed me in the right direction. I've read that fabulous article that you did for In Fairness, and I think it was Ian Allington who helped you write that. And one of the first things that was very interesting was the fact that, and I remember this as well, England winning the World Cup in 1966.
Yeah.
When me and you were around about 10-ish. Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Did you think that had a big impact on junior sport at that time and within yourself in particular?
Absolutely. I remember it very, very well. When I was playing football in the back street kind of thing with the rest of the kids, but nothing really organised. And then, of course, there was this magical thing that happened where England were hosts at the particular time, as you remember, 1966, and we went on to win it. And of course, the media coverage and the radio coverage was nowhere like it is now. No. So you had to really have some kind of interest in the sport, but it certainly inspired me. And I think about a lot of other people my age that played the game to a decent level, and particularly local players were totally inspired by international success.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do remember the day vividly, Jon. It's like one of those days that never leaves your memory. And I do remember the feeling as a 10-year-old thinking, wow, we're world champions. And it definitely did spur me on to get involved in football more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I remember, as soon as the final whistle went and the trophy was lifted, and grabbed the ball, went out in the back street, and a couple of other, local lads would come out, and then we all pretended we were the heroes. We all wanted to be Jeff Hurst because he just scored 3 goals. But you can rattle the names off now, even now. So yeah, it certainly inspired me. It inspired a lot of people. It was a fantastic time, and even going forward now, I know international football's changed dramatically, and of course it is more widespread internationally played, which is great. We've got the Africas playing, we've got obviously the Far East playing, and a lot of talented footballers coming through into all sorts of different leagues. So it's fantastic. And we seem to be doing very, very well at the moment as an international side. We just need to get over the line, hopefully, and secure a trophy win. We were nearly there. We've nearly been there twice. I always said to my 2 boys, I've got 3 children, but 2 boys particularly who were interested in football, I said, you'll never, ever forget the day your country is successful and what that means in a particular tournament, and they win the World Cup or the European Championships, as we've just been through. So fingers crossed it's in my lifetime when I can enjoy it with them. But it's certainly inspiring, Tony.
Yeah. Well, hopefully next year in Qatar, we might play San Marino in the final with a bit of luck. Eh?
Well, that's right. Yeah, probably. I don't think they're going to be there actually. But,
no.
Yeah.
Now, my memory's going a bit, Jon, but we went to the same school, Barrow County Technical School for boys. I think you were in a year below me.
Yeah, that's right, Tony.
But I don't remember much about playing school football. I was the captain of the school team in my year, but I remember playing a final on Holker Street against the grammar school, but I haven't got a lot of memory about there being a league with all these other teams in it. I mean, have you?
Yeah, well, they were like knockout trophies, really. They didn't have like a league. It was all the, as you say, culminated in a final at the school. For the school at Holker Street, which again was a magical thing. You were representing your school. I mean, I remember it back from junior school when we played at Greengate Junior School, and then of course playing all the different schools in a knockout competition, finalising it all with a appearance at Holker Street at the end of the season. It was everybody's, I'm playing on Holker Street. That's where Barrow play. It was absolutely fantastic. And that happened all the way through the junior school, the senior school, where you had a knockout competition playing against different schools. And then, of course, culminating in playing for your school team in the final at the end of the season at Holker Street, and a great time. And then, of course, from that, there was always, how could I say, that's when the scouts as such got involved, really, because they're looking at the schools. But it's the school network that really starts how people get noticed, or did in my time, get noticed to go and play for football clubs, which I was fortunate enough to do, So then, of course, you represent, if you're good enough, you will represent North Lancashire boys or Lancashire boys. And again, that was down to selection. So you would be picked up by the school scouts, if you will, or nominated by your school, or the Barrow manager at the time, which was Joe Humphreys. We all remember Joe Humphreys and Togger Mason. Them two guys, they put in a fantastic amount of effort for junior football, schools football. And then, of course, representing the town, if you played for Barrow boys, you were playing other towns like Manchester boys, Liverpool boys, and then you're being exposed to lots and lots of different football clubs, particularly down the south end of the county and beyond, really, into Yorkshire and things like that. So I remember it, vividly. And then, of course, remember when the first scout come and knocked on Tommy McParlin's door when I was playing for Barrow Celtic, and asked me to go to Burnley, and I was 14.
Yeah. And as you said in the article, John, you played for Barrow boys, you played for Barrow Celtic, and there was Tom McParlin there, as you say, who
absolutely
had links, I think, to Burnley, and there was also Dennis Boyd, who I used to work near in Vickers in the good old days, and I still think he's involved with Barrow Celtic now, isn't he?
I think he is, Dennis. Yeah, he's still there. He's obviously put a massive amount of effort into junior football, and it's these people, and which there is a lot of people now that actually put a lot of effort into getting football teams and football youngsters on the football parks every weekend. So that's was a very interesting time, I must admit, when I was playing, because there was hundreds and hundreds of good little players, and even now we've got this stage where we've got lots and lots of good coaches, super coaches that are actually better qualified than what they were lots of years ago, dare I say. Lots of facilities of a coaching platform and a journey for them to go down to improve, and that's been delivered to the youngsters to hopefully develop them to move on to the professional game if they want to. So completely different when I was there. You got scouted by just playing for your local side. If you were good enough, you played for your town side, and then of course played for Barrow boys, and then played for North Lancashire or maybe the county, and then you got picked up by a club if you were lucky, very, very lucky.
Now, I see that you're also invited to go and play for England schools, John, and at that time, I think this is when the Evertons began to get interested through Dave Dryden.
Yeah, that's right. Dave was the local scout for Everton, and then, of course, was fortunate to go on England schoolboy trials. And, of course, the levels just go up to a different standard. You're playing against the best boys and training with the best boys in the country. So that was very enlightening. Didn't get selected to move on to the next stage, but represented, as I said, North Lancashire, captain that side, and was fortunate to play for Lancashire boys. Then, of course, that's when the scouts all of a sudden just seem to come out of the woodwork, and because you've been playing down the south of the county or into Lancashire as we know it, there was all the northern scouts were virtually knocking at the door and ringing my phone. But my poor mum didn't know how to handle it, I don't think, because I'd lost my father when I was 7. Right. And my mum just knew that I was just wanting to play football. So, was trying to.
Now, most people back then, John, used to support Manchester United. And then over the years, Liverpool and Man City have become more sort of prominent. But you supported Everton, didn't you? Why was that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Really, it was like there was players in there that just, it was the trilogy of Harvey, Ball, and Kendall, the midfield players. I always wanted to play in midfield. That really appealed to me. And I don't know. You just get that feeling for the club. Sometimes you think, God, I don't want to be like just follow the crowd. And then supported Everton. And one of my best friends, Gary Penny. Gary supported Everton, so we same age. Really just hit it off, and then supported Everton. So, but it was the midfield trio there, the Holy Trilogy as we call them. They really inspired me to want to play. And of course, when Everton come knocking on the door, at the time I'd been down for a trial, and then of course the scouting network increased, as in the pressure. Well, we want to come to, the Manchester United scouts, the Man City scout wanted me to go and things like that. Of course, Dave Dryden got wind of it. Obviously, we told him. We said, probably a bit naive at the time, but said, we know all the scouts. What do we do here? And of course, the next minute, then I was put on schoolboy forms. The schoolboy forms with Everton meant that you were tied to the club, but so you didn't really have an option to go to any other clubs. You were then locked in. You had to get agreement from the technical schools, because I couldn't play any more schools football, but it was near the end of my schooling anyway, and we weren't going to be playing much football then for the school. And then of course, fortunately, they did sign me on apprentice forms, but it's that risk you take where if they release you, then you're stuck in no man's land, really. But because Everton was my club, or the one I supported, I didn't want to sign for anybody else anyway.
No.
So it was just a dream come true, really, at such a young age.
So how old were you, John, when you actually went on apprentice terms?
16, just coming up 17.
So you just done your all
exams,
levels?
GCES exams, done all them. They encourage you to do that. And then went and signed. As soon as I finished my exams in the May, June, they got signed forms then, and had to wait for my exam results. Had to wait till the last day of school was finished before I could go down. The day after, I was down at Belfield training ground and in my digs, and met all the new players, and it was great. Right, so a completely different concept from playing football for Barrow Celtic and Barrow boys in the county to then going into a professional regime. Even then, sports science was obviously in its early stages, but nothing like it is now. But it was still, you looked after your diet, and then there was tests about your fitness, and obviously it's a very simple game, but the coaching was another standard. Fantastic.
Now, one of the people that you mentioned, John, is a guy called Eric Harrison.
Absolutely.
Who I remember played for Barrow Soccer.
True, yeah.
And he was a half back. He was quite a tough cookie. I remember that.
Very much so.
And he was in the team when Don McAvoy was there, and Barrow had a bit of success getting promotion to the old third division and stuff. So you said he had a massive impact on your
He very did. Yeah,
footballing. Why was that? What was special about Eric Harrison?
Well, Eric was so passionate about football and youth development, really. And he took an interest in all his players, because he wanted to. Not only did he want to win things, but he wanted to develop you as a footballer. So he used to hold extra training sessions for individuals. He would do some of these things in the evening with you. Send you with homework. To learn and to read about the game. So it wasn't only just about what you were doing at your 9 to 5 job as as a goal. He really was so passionate. And Eric, I don't know whether it was because I was from Barrow and he played for Barrow. We got on very, very well. But he believed in me, and he taught me and learnt me things that I would never have expected from just day-to-day coaching. It was, that extra coaching that you got that actually helped you to develop. And as we all know, Eric went on to coach the Manchester United team that brought on the Beckham Skulls and teams like that. But before that, Eric was coaching at Goodison, and obviously he got promoted to first team coach. But when he was coaching the youth team, we were very, very successful under Eric. We'd won the A and the B League under him, and were unbeaten all season. And we sometimes call ourselves the Invincibles of 1975, I think it was. But also in that season, he took us across into Germany for a tournament and played some of the top sides, Dusseldorf, and ended up in a final there. And we went on to win that 2-1. I scored 2 goals. I'll never forget the comment at half time. He said to me, we were playing FC Antwerpen in Dusseldorf in this final, and we were 1-0 down. And of course, I used to be a box-to-box midfield player myself, and used to get reasonably good scoring oppositions, but he used to work on my finishing. And of course, I'd missed a couple of chances in this particular game, which I should have probably tucked away. Anyway, he said to me, John, just relax and hit the target. And I'll never forget, this ball just come out to me, the ball on my knee and hit it, and it went in. I just hit it. Sadly, Eric isn't with us anymore now.
No.
But a lovely man and a great stalwart.
So, John, you're at Everton. You're on this apprentice scheme.
Yeah.
Did you go right through the apprenticeship, because you said you were released?
Yeah.
So
yeah, went right through the apprenticeship, and unfortunately didn't get taken on. Was obviously gutted, disappointed, and but the competitive nature of the game, sometimes that happens. So went to Preston North End and was on monthly contracts there, and that nature of the game as a pro, and they kept on renewing it and offering me a monthly contract. But at that time I was disillusioned with the game, a young man, 19, lost my father. Really, my mum was there, not really, she was there to support me, but very, very difficult getting that manly support you needed, and really didn't have anybody to turn to. So then I didn't sign the last monthly contract they offered me, and then come back home, and then Barrow called, and I played for Barrow then under Ron Yates.
Sorry, so just go back to the Everton thing, John. I mean, there you were at the club you supported. You were 19.
Yeah.
I mean, you must have been absolutely devastated. I mean, what was the reason? What was the reason why? Did they give you a reason?
I mean, it was very, very short. There's no long feedback sessions and analysis. It's a sit down with the youth development officer and Eric, and I must admit I was gutted. I was in tears and obviously very, very upset. And they just said, we don't think you've got the attributes to make a first division player, and we've got a massive competition for places, and unfortunately we're going to release you from your contract. And that's it. Simple as that. It was pretty cutthroat, but that's the nature of the beast.
Well,
unfortunately, but so we moved on, if you will.
So then there was, as you say, the Preston interest, John, but you were a bit disillusioned with
a bit disillusioned. Yeah, disillusioned. And I mean, some people then springboard on to make a career out of football at a low level, and for me, it just didn't work. It didn't fit. If you haven't got the attitude at that particular time and the desire to make it work, that's your first and foremost. That's your foundation, really. And at that particular time, it just wasn't working for me. So I went to play non-league with Barrow. I'm glad they come in and asked me.
And did you have to go and get a proper job?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, to get a proper job. Yeah, and God, didn't know what to do really, you know. So, and that's how I fell into the financial services world. Started working at an insurance company, and and then of course they played part-time football, and then of course that's what my career was for the next 30 years, 35 years. I worked in financial services at all sorts of different levels, up to senior levels. So I had a long, good career in financial services. Yeah.
I mean, it's every young person's dream, John, to get that sort of apprenticeship at a Premier League football club. But
absolutely.
But it's like a lot of young footballers today. It's only the elite that really make it through. And
absolutely. Yeah.
I think in those days, as you just said, there wasn't a lot of support for young people like yourself to adjust to Civvy Street, so to speak, you know.
That's right, yeah, very much so. It was so difficult, really, on making decisions on what to do next. But you know, if you've got the right positive attitude moving forward, you'll always make a living somewhere on something, you know. So, but the positive thing was I had a good then career out of non-league football, playing for Barrow twice. And having a successful spell at Morecambe. So I made lots and lots and lots of friends and contacts. So it wasn't all doom and gloom. It seemed to just, right, okay, well, that's not meant to be. And you've got other options open to you, but not probably the one that was your first choice and your dream. So, so I'm glad I did it. And if you said to me, would you go back tomorrow and you're only getting 2.5 years as a pro, I'd go.
Right.
Do you know?
Oh, yeah.
I'd do it, yeah. Absolutely. I would recommend anybody to do it, yeah.
Well, you're one of a very special few that have had that chance, really, John, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it doesn't come to a lot of people, all sort of chances, do they? But
yeah.
So you went to Dalton, you went to Vickers Sports Club, who I played for a couple of seasons, and you mentioned a guy called Brian Etherington, who I knew because he was an instructor in the training school in the engineering side in Vickers.
Yeah.
And he also ran the Barrow AFC youth team, and I did play for him actually in the FA Youth Cup against Oldham. I won't forget it. We got beat 5-0, but Brian was the manager, and he was a character, wasn't he? Because you do mention his special qualities as well.
Yeah, Brian was, an excellent tactician and a good man manager. I know a lot of people speak very, very fondly of Brian. I certainly do from a personal point of view, because it was when I actually left Dalton and went to Vickers at the time, as they were called. I know they're called Hawcourt Park now, and he magically moved me back into midfield, because I was playing like a number 10, as they say now. They know what it is now. They call it a number 10. I coupled up with Phil Hudson. You'll know Phil.
Yep.
And he again wanted us to play just as a 2 in midfield and like 2 wing backs then, you know. And it just worked magically, and he gave me a lot of confidence into moving my career forward, really. And we had a successful time, and I really enjoyed Brian's company and obviously his knowledge and his expertise.
Now, you mentioned you then went on to play for Barrow AFC, John, where a lot of our listeners will remember you from. And again, you mentioned a guy, Vic Halom, who I remember. Yeah. I remember him playing for Sunderland.
Correct, yeah.
I think it was in the FA Cup final.
That's right, yeah, against Leeds United. That's right, yeah.
Yep. And you got a lot of good vibes about Vic Halom, John. What was special about Vic?
Well, Vic's knowledge, you could tell he'd been a first division or the championship kind of player, because of his knowledge of the game, and particularly around how to approach games against different opposition. He really did his study of the strengths and weaknesses of different teams. But Vic got the best out of individual players by playing them in the right position at the right time, and had the ability to change things within a game tactically. So he was very, very astute. What I would call for in a league at that particular time when it was all strength and brawn. And that side I played in that particular season, it was just, I mean, a lot of people comment on saying it was probably one of the, I mean, there's been a lot of Barrow, good Barrow sides, but it was a very, very good Barrow side at that particular time. And that was, a lot of it was down to Vic, because actually he brought in 3 players from the previous season when they got relegated, which was Peter McDonnell, Keith Kennedy, and myself. And he only brought 3 players in. So he didn't do a massive change of personnel, but it was the way he got people playing. And it wasn't only that, it was the constant reevaluation at half-time, or even even within a match. He got players thinking how we could change the system within a game. And that, of course, that's why all the technical ability you've got to have now to be a pro is be able to see these things happen within a game situation and be able to do that. We had that then in 1983 and he brought that to the knowledge and the abilities of the players around that he had at his disposal. So for me, that was excellent, and I learned a lot from him. Learned a lot about his coaching methods, and obviously took that all into when I started coaching.
Now, somebody else you mentioned as well, John, he came to Barrow AFC, I remember. He was only here a short time, but that was the Manchester United European Cup winner, Brian Kidd.
Sure.
What happened there?
I've got to be careful how I choose my words here. I didn't rate him as a coach. He ruined that side, in my view, that when Vic left and he was given the role of manager, brought in some players who were substandard to the ones that he was replacing them with. And before that season was out, left to go to Preston North End.
That's right, yeah.
So ruined a very, very good side, which really should have been a stepping stone and a foundation to move forward. And of course, that's again the yo-yo issue that Barrow have had over the years, unfortunately. And at that time, it was terrible. And when you think that some of the players that left, there was 4 of us that actually went to Morecambe.
Yeah, you mentioned Morecambe, John, yeah.
And really, we should have stayed at Barrow, but it was because of his, unfortunately, he had methods, and the way he managed wasn't to be the standard that we had previously experienced, and people just don't hang around when it's like that, unfortunately.
No. And yet, look at the career he's had in the sort of Man United back room and Man City, and I think he was at Blackburn as well, was he? I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's obviously had a successful football career, and no one can knock that. You can only go by your experience and what you've had with the individual at that particular time, and for that particular time, that's my view.
Now, John, you're also asked in this article who the best player is you've ever played with. Yeah. Now, you said Mick Buckley.
Yeah.
Of Everton. What was so special about him? I vaguely remember him. Was he a midfield player?
This is so hard, Tony, because you play with so many good players at school, at different times of your career, and everybody says what they play. So it's so difficult. But Mick Buckley was an England international, and he played at England international, I think, when he was 21. I think first played for the under-23s, and then he got a full international. But he was a busy little midfield player. He was a box-to-box midfield player. Score goals right and left. And I think you remember him because when we were at Everton, you probably played the reserves against the first team in a training session on a Tuesday or something like that. And I remember because not being able to get anywhere near him, not being able to tackle him, not being able to, and then probably scoring a couple of goals in a training session. But obviously, watching him play for the first team, he was an excellent footballer. Scored left and right foot. Talented, creative player. And that's probably why, that is why I, suggest he was one of the best players I played. Played with lots of local players who've been excellent. Players from junior level that I think, God almighty, where have they gone on to be? But at the time they were excellent. But Mick stands out for me. Now,
after your playing career came to an end, John, you did what a lot of ex-players do, and you went into coaching, and you went to Vickers in 1988.
That's right, yeah.
And I think you were with John Goodwin, who was in my class at school.
That's
at the
right,
Tech.
John. Yeah.
And you had a lot of success, didn't you? In that time, Vickers were one of the best teams in the West Lancs scene, weren't they?
Yeah, they were an excellent side. Yeah, John asked me to come along and if I'd join him and do some coaching and things like that, and put my ideas to the players. Yeah, so it was a very successful time. Good set of lads as well to work with, and we put our ideas into play.
Now, as I said, when I was younger, John, I was only 18. I did play for Vickers for a couple of seasons, and I'll always remember it. I mean, Lenny Ferguson was the manager, and
correct, yeah.
Dennis Rogers was the reserve team manager, because I played a few teams a few games in the reserves. But Vickers was a bit special, wasn't it? But
there was
something about it, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. I think it was the white shirts that they played in, and the burgundy shorts and such, and white socks. It was, and of course playing on Hawcourt Park was nice surroundings, things like that. So yeah, it was a bit special. And it's a bit like obviously Holker Football Club. That's a special football club. They're all special football clubs, but they all seem to have their magic, don't they? Really, but Vickers was quite a standout club at that particular time.
So, what sort of coach were you then, John? Were you a Vic Halom or?
Well, I think I was a bit of everybody, really. I mean, I obviously had my own ideas and views on how the game should be played, but I picked up things from all the coaches, particularly obviously in my pro days, with Eric Harrison and obviously the Everton staff there. And then I picked up things from when I went into the non-league through Joe Wojciechowicz, who was the coach at Morecambe. And then, of course, in the time when I played under Brian Everton and Ron Staniford as well. Ron was an ex-England fullback who played for Barrow and obviously coached at Sheffield Wednesday. So all these people you picked up. And then, of course, I did all my study myself as well. And so studying about the game and learned all about the techniques and how a player thought and wanted to know and learn about things. So that's key as well, how they wanted to be coached. So I did a lot of the psychology side of the game. So pulled all that together, and then, of course, a lot of that goes out the window, particularly in the 90 minutes of the game. So you can prepare as much as you can, but it's giving the player the tools to make the decisions quickly, and obviously the skills and the ability to be able to do that within their framework of mental, capacity and things like that. So what being by that is how they're quick at making decisions and how they can understand the game and they understand how the game is moving, particularly when they're under pressure. So quite an interesting time, and that was quite hard to do, to get them thoughts and ideas over to amateur players, because you've only got 2 days a week training with them if they can all come, and then something on a Saturday. So quite difficult to do. So it's done over a longer period of time, when you're a pro, you've got 3 and 4 days a week at least, split over the 5 days, and then of course you've got another that on another day of that, another day of that to actually reinforce it. So but it worked in the end because we had a great set of players and a successful squad.
Now, I do know after that, John, you did get involved in Barrow under-18s with Can-Do FM colleague Tony Callister.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And also Dalton United, of course, with Alex Ogilvie and people.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
He used to play for my Sunday League football team, the Queens and everything. And
yes.
So at what age were you, John, when you sort of packed in the coaching side of things?
Probably about 57, I think it was.
All right. Well,
yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah, I wish, yeah. Yeah, done me a bit at junior level, and because my two sons played, so I was quite keen on to do that. But yeah, I think that it is a young man's game. Actually turning out and running the sessions. So at that age, the legs had gone. Particularly, I mean, I had by then 2 hip replacements.
Oh, I believe so.
And I've just recently had another one done. So
wow.
That's its toll on me getting around the park, and particularly if you want to demonstrate as well, which was very important part of coaching is, the ability to be able to demonstrate some of the things you want to. So you've got to be mobile. I'm certainly not a classroom coach where it's all on the classroom board. I do like to get out on the field, So coming to the final questions now, John, we'll come now to the current era, if you like. Me and you both have had to witness Barrow AFC in non-league football for 48 years. And there they are now back in the Football League, which is absolutely fantastic. But you did make a statement in that article, which I did look at and I thought, oh, right, okay. And you said that you were surprised that the club hadn't sort of reached out and sought the views of a lot of local experienced people, such as yourself and the John Goodwins and the... Yeah.
Do you want to just expand on that?
Well, yeah, and it's not a criticism to that effect. It's just something that I thought, well, we've got a local community of football clubs, which really, really, we have got a plethora of talent, knowledge, desire for the professional club to do well, but also we don't seem to have a reinforcement of a engagement with the clubs. Okay. And that is so difficult to do. I understand that, because the clubs themselves, I mean, Tony will support me on this one, I'm sure, in that when we did the development centre back in the 90s as such, it was so difficult to try and engage the local clubs totally, because obviously they want to look after their own players. So I do understand that. So this is going to be it's a long journey to get that kind of engagement and to have the support so that the players can actually maybe make inroads into the professional game through Barrow Football Club. But then, of course, on the other side of the fence, there's got to be the facilities or the foundation for them to join or be invited to go there, i.e. through an academy of some description. And that is that available at Barrow AFC. But not only that, there is a massive amount of knowledge on football matters in general, i.e. commercial matters, what the club potentially should be looking at to do regarding all sorts of different things in running a football club. And there's a massive amount of expertise outside of Barrow AFC staff, I'm sure, that they can bring in, and it would be on a, I don't know, not even on a consultancy basis, just on a steering group, come whatever, just to get people's knowledge and use the ideas potentially to move matters forward, to make the club better and give ideas. It's up to the club finally, because they're the professionals. They're the board of directors that make the final decisions. But I'm a bit surprised. I'm not aware of anything happening at all on that basis. And that was the only thing, really.
Okay, John. So last question, John. If there was any budding young professionals out there who are in Barrow. I mean, they've been very few and far between, really, haven't they? We've had the Gary Stevens. I know we've got, is it Tom Davis now?
Tom's at Liverpool,
Liverpool, Preston. Georgia Stanway, of course. Fantastic, Man City in England and everything. What would be your advice, seeing as you've been through this process? You've had that experience. What would you say to anybody out there now, any listener who's 16, 17, think they've got the talent to go on? Would you recommend go for it, or is the world a totally different place now?
Yeah, I would certainly say follow your dream. One of the first things is work terribly hard. Listen to the experts and get obviously the support and help if you can from people who are trusted, namely family members, to guide you through the difficult times, because there will be some difficult times. But stick to your focus and go for it. Absolutely, go for it. It's magical.
Well, look, thanks very much, Jon, for coming on Can Do FM and sharing your experience and looking back on your time at Everton. Really fantastic, and also the success that you had with Barrow AFC. And let's hope at some point in the future someone will be knocking on your door, Jon, and saying, can you come and help us out on X, Y, Z?
Who knows?
Right.
Okay, Tony, thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Jon. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.